Hey, Money Magicians, welcome to the second episode of the Money Magic series where I interview Money Magic students about their money stories. My guest with me today is Senzekile. Senzekile, please tell us about yourself and who you are.
Hey, Money Magicians. A lot of you probably already know me from my random posts. So yeah, I'm Senzekile Msomi, currently based in Joburg in South Africa. I work for as a manager for one of the management consulting firms, a global firm. So yeah, long hours solving client problems. That's what I do. And I do that in the supply chain space with a special interest in distribution, which what we call route to market, and specifically in Africa, right? And when we say Africa, not the continent, the different countries in Africa, because they've got their different nuances around, you know, how products move from manufacturing floor to the end consumer. So that's work, right? And then I have a passion for indigenous food, indigenous healing herbs, um, and really seeds as well, because I've realized that if we are to have anything indigenous, it starts with us preserving seeds and sharing seeds for self-sufficiency. So that's the area that I am dabbling in. I'm currently even looking at like farmland that I want to purchase because I want to try it, I want to do it, and I want the space to do it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
all about
wow.
yeah, well, I suppose I'm passionate about this, so I won't stop talking. But I'm all about what has been termed food sovereignty, right? Which
Yes,
is,
yes,
they say it's the right, you know, to healthy, culturally appropriate food
yeah,
through, you know, ecologically sound methods and so on and so
yeah.
forth. And so I'm all about that because I feel like we are losing that within, I'm going to say South Africa, because I've been to other
Yeah.
African countries and I can definitely see
Yes.
that they have held on to that, right?
Yes.
So that's just like an area of interest. I mean, I love nature. I love bodies of water, natural bodies of water. I enjoy travel and adventure. And I think that's probably where I connected with Vangile first before I connected with her around the work that she does. Yeah. And yeah, so I guess that's, I'm going to stop there for a moment.
Okay, we'll keep delving deeper into your story, right? So,
Yeah.
Senzagile, I'm going to ask the question that I'm asking everybody on the
Hmm.
show because it just fascinates me, right? So, what does money to you, mean to you? If you had to describe money to an alien who just landed on planet Earth, how would you describe it?
Oh, wow. So firstly, the first question was, what does money mean to me? So money means access to me. I think it's access to the things that I want. And as
Yeah.
somebody who values independence, I think independence has been the biggest seduction into this work for me, because that's what money means to me. It means
Mm,
access, it means independence. It also means I can do a whole lot more good in the world, you know, when
yeah.
I have money.
Yeah.
Um, at the same time, strangely enough, it also represented danger, right? Because I never felt
Yes.
quite safe when I had it, and
Yes.
also I didn't feel great when I didn't have it. And I
Yeah.
didn't understand how these feelings could exist in the same space. So
Yeah.
that's just, you know, the
Yeah.
summary. And
Yeah.
then
So
in terms,
let's dig into that because it's so meaty. We'll keep continuing, right? So this is why I'm
yeah,
loving these interviews because I know that they will take us into some interesting territory around money. So you said
yeah.
like it didn't feel safe to have it, but also it felt unsafe not to have it. Having
Mm.
done the money magic work, how do you, what have you learned about our capability of holding two, what people would term even contradictory beliefs around money? were you even aware that you were holding these two beliefs, that sometimes it's safe, sometimes it's dangerous?
So I think subconsciously there was an awareness within me that I hold conflicting feelings about money. But you know, when
Mm,
you just gloss over something, and I think
yeah,
that's what I was doing, I was glossing over the feelings. And more than
yeah,
anything, because of the anxiety that the money represented for me and the danger that it represented,
yeah.
I was sticking my head in the sand. I
Mm,
wasn't looking at my money, I wasn't looking at my bank statements. I wasn't, I mean, I knew how much money I earned, but I think even that, I wasn't fully invested in, you know, the minute details of what I earn and what I spend, why I
mm,
spend, and, you know,
yeah,
like my spending patterns, like what drives them.
yeah.
And so I would say the Manometric coursework actually helped me to start to, you know, dissect, you know, this body of money and
Yeah,
figure
but
out.
someone is listening to you and going, Senzekile, you don't understand. Like maybe they like me. I had panic attacks, right? Like going
Yeah.
to the ATM to withdraw money. So when I'm hearing someone saying that they worked through that danger, I'm different. Like my issues are a lot deeper. So what did you say to that? Like, how do you work through that deep feeling of danger?
So I think the best way that I can try to explain this is the same way that we would work with the wound, right? So
Yes.
when somebody has been injured by any, I don't know, any means, and they are
Yes.
bleeding, and the say it's a wound on the head, they're bleeding,
Mm.
it's coming down onto the shoulders. When you see them, you actually don't know how badly injured they
Yeah.
are, where they are injured to begin with. So the first thing that you
Mm.
want to try and do with that kind of person is clean them
Yeah.
up, right? And
Ooh,
initially, when you clean off the
so deep.
blood in the areas that where the wound is not, like the shoulders,
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know, when you're cleaning off the shoulder, it's gross. But I mean, that's not where the pain is, right? You
Mm.
know, you undress the person, you soak the clothes, you start washing the head. Some of the blood has clotted onto the hair, and it's painful now. You know, think afro. But eventually, you
Yeah.
actually get to the wound. And I feel like
Yes.
this is such it's a direct reflection of what happens to us in the money magic course. So the free stuff that Vangile shares, some of it is probably like the blood on the arm, right? Where you're like, oh, there's a blood spot, let me clean it up. But like there's a bigger wound where this thing is dripping, and unless you clean
Yeah.
it and stop it from becoming an infection, um, and like sewing it up nicely, I mean, it's you're gonna die from septic shock
Wow.
or something like that.
Actually, this is the first time I've ever heard this described like this. Like, wow. This is mind
But
blowing. And we
that is
have
my
doctors
experience.
in the course, and they've never ever done this. So powerful. So, Senzekile, when in your life, even long before the course came around or any of this work, did you start having a suspicion that um, your money story wasn't, and your relationship with money wasn't about the money? For example, I think I started having the suspicion when I was in my early 20s waitressing in London. There was like an inkling that no, man, something is just not coming together for me, you know? But I just thought, I think it's a kibulo, it's like some kind of
Mm.
witchcraft that's going on. But I didn't really have the words to explain it. So when did you start thinking, my things are not coming together? Maybe it's not just about the money.
You know, funny enough, I think in my teenage years, I did have the feeling that I deserved everything that I wanted to have in life, right? Let's start there.
Yeah.
But somewhere between then and starting to work and starting to buy, you know, a
Mm.
car on credit and a house on credit, I
Yeah.
started to realize that there was a feeling of enslavement in how I was living my life. And I started asking questions
Oh.
around, did God build me to come into this life experience, to work every single day, have 1 month off
Mm.
per month until I'm 60. There's
Yeah.
something off about that picture. I shouldn't be using my best years cooped up in an office, working, building an empire,
Yeah.
regardless of whose empire it is. I should be
Yeah.
out there enjoying life. And with my adventurous
Yeah.
spirit, there was definitely a disconnect, right? But
Yeah.
the messaging around me from my own parents, from family, from friends was work hard.
Mm.
What do they say? They say perseverance is the mother of success. There are all these sayings that
Yeah.
basically, and amanye they're in Zulu, like ayikho inkomo
Yeah.
yobuthongo, like basically
Yes.
they just like there was so much messaging around you have got to be doing something in order
Yeah.
to to basically have a life worth living. And then moving on from
Yes.
that, we also grew up in households. I was raised by my granny until the age of 10, right?
Mm.
And she despised laziness, right?
Oh,
And so
yes.
she
Which grandmother did not? Which African grandmother did not have a war on laziness? And on top of that, a lazy girl. A lazy girl.
yes, who is
Yeah,
going to marry you? Who is going to marry you?
exactly.
Anyway, never. I actually used to answer my grandmother as a child and say, "Well, I'll have a dishwashing machine. Well, I'll have a washing machine." Basically, letting her know.
Wow.
And I didn't know at the time that it would be possible because I have those things now. But clearly,
Yeah.
my inner, I don't know, higher self knew
Yeah.
that these things were a possibility, and they
Yeah.
weren't in my grandmother's mind, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's
Wow.
something that started a long time ago, but how I came to actually be interested in this kind of work is, I would say The Secret was definitely one of the books that made me believe that I could do something. I could vision board, I
Yeah.
could affirm, I could wish, I could think about these things, and somehow they would come into my
Yeah.
experience. And then I
Yeah.
went into, Louise Hay's teachings around how, every disease in the body is a manifestation of something that's wrong within,
Yeah.
you know, um, your spirit, or yeah, well,
Yeah.
metaphysically. And then there was
Yeah.
who's this, Florence Scovel Shin, who then also spoke about the
Yes.
fact that you have got to forgive, you've got to let things go because they weigh you down
Yes.
and all of that. So by the time
I
I
believe
came to
that.
you, you were presenting a different dimension. But what was interesting for me was the fact that you were specifically focused on money. But
Yes.
it was strange in the sense that I went from your free material, I bought your book. Your book was
Yes.
literally the precursor to me joining the Money Magic
Oh, wow.
community. Because what that book did was it explained the different emotions that exist in our bodies. And for me,
Yes.
anxiety and fear and shame were interesting because those were the emotions that I had around money. And
Hmm.
then you explained
Yes.
how they manifest in financial behavior. And I was like, oh my God, you know,
Yeah.
how does she know this? Because this is literally me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so I mean, it's been a journey of consuming your material, of reading your book, and then eventually we
Yeah.
did a fall in love with your bank account challenge where we had to print out our
Yeah.
statements, look at them, every transactions, and I nearly died doing that because I started to realize that my emotions and my anxiety around money resides
Mm.
from like where my hair ends at the bottom
Oh,
to the mid
wow.
to the middle of my back. Those areas would just lock.
Oh,
And I would
wow.
be in so much pain that even if I went for a massage, I would come out screaming out of the
Mm.
massage because it was that painful. And the strangest thing that's happened
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
since I started the Money Magic course and I'm doing the work is
Yeah.
that I have started to realize that I've released that pain. I don't know the moment
Yeah.
when it happened, but I
You
can
don't
tell you
need to.
now.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
I don't know when it happened, but I do know that I've released that
Sure.
pain because I am, Vangeli, I would go to the point of ignoring. like refunds that I was supposed to kind of claim. That's how much I
Yeah.
was running away from my money. Even completing like
Mm.
a form that says this is my bank account number, pay the money into
Yeah.
this account, I would ignore it for like 6 months. And I would need the money.
Sure.
But for some reason I wouldn't even do the, what do you call it? I wouldn't do the logical stuff
Yes.
that I should
Yes.
be doing. And I had no
But that's
idea why I
because,
wasn't doing it.
right? But that now makes sense to you, right? Because now you've done
Yes.
the work and you can see that if there's a part of us that believes that that we are unsafe, that money is unsafe, and dealing with money is unsafe and registers. And here's the thing, most of us are not aware of this, but when the amygdala registers unsafety, it's not going, oh, this is a small situation.
Mm,
Unsafety is unsafety. The mind goes into straight, everything is a threat if it's
mm,
unsafe. So
mm,
why would any part of your subconscious allow you to be in a space that it registers as life or death, allow you to be dealing with something that it registers as dangerous, that could
mm,
potentially kill you? So why, even when it looks like I need the money, and the need should surely be greater than
mm,
the fear, it's not true, because the mind has stored lots of historical data
mm.
in the body to say this is unsafe, money is
And I
unsafe.
and I get and I guess that is basically the heart of the program, and that's the heart
Yes,
of the community that we have, where we support each
yes,
other, right? And where you provide
yeah,
guidance, where are
yes.
able to come out and say, this is how I feel, this is what I think. And
Mm,
there's help right there that says, well, you feel like this because, and then kind
yeah,
of like also a realization that you're not the only person who's going through that process. You get some encouragement around the fact that
yeah,
there is light at the end of the tunnel, right?
yeah.
And I think with me, one of the biggest things that I never thought was my problem was the fact that and I'm just going to say a few things that have been revealed by the program to me, by the
Oh no,
manometric
go ahead.
work.
I feel
So,
like this is going to be so helpful to so many people. So please feel free.
I think I always wondered why I could make money that was just enough for me and my son. So it's almost like I
Mm,
was making money at survival level. If I bought a house or a,
yes.
and let me just put it out there. I think I bought my first car at 22 after working for like less than a year. I
Wow,
bought my
that's
first house.
amazing.
Yeah, I bought my first house like at 23. Like I moved into it at the age of 24.
Wow.
By the age of 25, I had done the things that my mother had said are the things that are going to help her to sleep peacefully when she dies, knowing that I can take care of myself.
Yes.
And um,
Yes.
and then I continued through life. So now I've got these basics, but for some reason I'm
Yes.
struggling to live beyond survival where I can just like thrive and save and have more than
Yes.
enough. There's always these emergencies
Ooh,
coming up. Some of them are created by myself. Um,
yeah.
and I've got these questions, but nobody's answering. And when I started doing the
Yeah.
work, the first things that came up were it's not safe for me to have money for a number of reasons, which I will name. The first one is
Yes.
my grandfather
Yeah.
was rich and
Yeah.
he was killed by his own family for his wealth, which they took away. And then
Oh
obviously my
my
mom and them were left
God.
destitute, but they were able to build themselves up through education.
Yeah.
Secondly, I
Yeah.
grew up in a home where we had taxis, right? At some point, my mom
Wow.
started a taxi business, and we were doing okay financially.
Yeah.
But oh my God, the money was treated with mystery. My stepfather had a gun to look after this money. The safes in my house were taller than I was when I was like 10, 11, and the keys to
Can
those
you
safes were this
imagine?
long.
Can you imagine the messaging, the subconscious message that 10-year-old Senzekile got from that? That like having money is the stress of security, comes with
Exactly.
guns and safes
Safe
and
and because people
yo,
are going to come for you, and it's not just that, it's
yes.
also conversations around the house and community, and in
Mm,
particular at my away from town where I lived with my mom, at my granny's
Yeah.
house, we had two taxi bosses that were
Yes.
that lived in, well, had homes in the area and wives. And
Yeah.
whenever they would come home, they would come home with, like, you know
Yes.
how like the government ministers drive with blue lights? Those guys had blue lights
Yes.
then, like when I was 10, 11. When they would come home,
Yeah.
especially like when it got dark, you could actually see the lights on top of the 4x4 vehicles because the area had like cleared.
Wow.
So you could see the
Yeah.
lights as a child. And it was this drama of, you know, he's
Sure.
coming home and he's got all these guards
Well,
that
this,
are looking after
and
him.
he's
And all
got
because,
money with him.
and it's because he's got money. And so those were the two guys. And then the gossip around, obviously, the village. I mean, you're a child, you're not gossiping, but you are observing and
You're
listening.
hearing.
The
Yeah.
gossiping is that for them to be rich, they killed X, they killed
Yeah.
somebody else, and therefore their lives are not safe. Somebody's coming from for them. And then you would also look at like the people who owned like the shops that supplied the community with like maize and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And you would
Sure.
realize that these people almost lived in an island. Their kids didn't play with other kids in the community.
Yes.
And I mean, who wants to be isolated like that?
Who wants to be? I mean, now, like, this money is bringing you the stress, this loneliness, this lack of safety, right? So this is just wow, this is such powerful insight. And
And
I
if I
love
can
that.
end off the story, if
Yeah.
you still, if I can, yeah, if I can end off the story before you finish, all those
Yeah.
guys were gunned down, and they made front
Oh
news
my
when they got
God.
gunned down. I think one in particular was close to us, was gunned down in front of like the KFC that I've known since I was a child.
Oh
And
my God,
yeah,
Senzekile.
just like in town. So not only do I have the story for a very big portion of my life,
Yeah.
I also know how it ends, and it ends with
Yes.
like certain death.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. My condolences. My goodness. So actually, your feeling of safety was backed up by facts, right? And I
Always,
think,
always.
yeah, and this is such a big thing, right? Like, I feel like so many of us can relate to this unsafety. Like, I'm just thinking that this is definitely the most horrific, right? In terms of
Mm,
like the gunning down. But
mm,
some of us come from households of abuse where we have seen when someone makes money, how they are ill treated, how the breadwinner is scorned and shouted at, gossiped about. It may not be physical violence, but it's a violence of sorts. And in this time, there's some of us who come from families where we've seen how when the mom excelled more than the father, there was real physical violence. So
mm,
it's like money is behind some of these atrocities, right? So, I mean, this is a deep trauma.
yeah.
Can you share some of the ways in which you started working around this trauma? This is so, so intense so that you can go beyond survival. Oh, sorry, before we move on, I wanted to say, like, I hope that people are starting to understand why for you it would not be safe to go beyond survival mode, because if the
Exactly.
inner child and the inner teen are holding on to these traumas, that going beyond survival mode equals literal death, why should why should your entire being, your inner child and your inner
Mm,
teen, come to this party of helping you expand financially?
mm,
So even affirmations wouldn't work, because it's like we are dealing with trauma that is stored in the body,
mm.
not just a mental belief that needs to be untangled. So, what did you start to do? Can you share maybe 3 lessons that you found helpful for you on this journey to to feeling safer?
So I think writing letters to money was definitely very interesting because it seems like a
Wow.
simple exercise where you write these letters to money, but actually a lot is revealed in those letters that you write,
Mm,
right?
yes.
As you continue writing the letters, you discover new things every day. And if you
Yes.
put in the time to do the work, to connect the
Yeah.
dots, that's when the magic
Yes.
starts to happen, because as you
Yes.
connect the dots, you are able to pinpoint problem areas, which
Yes.
then help you to figure out which meditations in the money magic course
Yes.
you need to be focusing on, right? Which
That's
is then
so
probably the second thing.
interesting. Yeah. So, which meditations did you find really helped?
So, like the spirit of money um,
Yes.
meditations, there
Yes.
is, and I hope I don't forget now, but there is one that speaks about feeling not good enough, right? Because
Yes. The not
remember,
good enough.
my financial trauma that I had experienced being successful made me ashamed
Yes.
of where I was in life with money,
Yeah.
the debt I had, the just like my
Phew.
financial behavior. And I just felt like
Yes.
I wasn't good enough, which is interesting because I didn't just feel good enough around my money and spending habits. There is also a
Yes.
feeling that is linked to many other things,
Of
within my life
course.
that will never come out that would never have come out if I didn't do the work. Like, you are not pretty
Yes.
enough because you're dark, right?
Oh
You
my
are not good enough
goodness.
because you didn't get an A, right? I do come from a competitive family,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
to see how that same feeling manifested in my finances, kind of
Yeah.
pointed the way, in the sense that I was able to understand that I need to go to that meditation so that it can help me to start to clear out the gunk
Yes.
around not feeling good enough,
Yes.
not trusting my
Yes.
own abilities,
Yes.
doubting myself,
Yes.
right? Thereby giving
Yes.
away my power. And I think,
Mm.
yeah, those are probably the first two things. The third thing is not an actual thing, uh, but it's consistency, right? Because you
Yes.
can't do these meditations once. You don't
Yes.
write the letters to money once. You don't do
Yes.
the you don't do it once. You need
Yeah.
to be consistent. It's almost
Yeah.
like taking a bath every day. If you do not bath
Yeah.
today, your armpits will smell, right?
Yes.
So the nice thing is that eventually with money magic, you can stop bathing to an extent,
Yes. Yes.
because you start to realize that the tension around money is gone from the back of your neck,
Yes.
your back,
Yeah.
and you start to see yourself venture into a space of, I have 3,000 rands to invest, and you
Yeah.
you enjoy the process of looking for investments and investing in something. You
Yeah.
start to think about, how can I increase my income,
Yeah.
where you come from a space where it was your job, your salary, and that was kind
Yeah.
of the ceiling, and you could see no other way of,
Yeah.
making more money. And I
Yeah.
think people think that you teach budgets and reduce expenses here and there. There is a small, small element of that. But I think what I love about how you teach budgeting is budget the way that you spend money. And then
Yes.
ask yourself if where you are spending money are your areas of value.
Yeah.
Like, are they aligned with
Yeah.
your values? So
Yeah.
it's much deeper than, um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, it's deeper than getting the free content. It's deeper
Yeah.
than getting the book. Although getting
Yeah.
those things first helps, because you are
It
able to catch
does.
on to concept quicker, because
Yes.
you are not starting from zero. You're starting from like 5 out of 100.
Yeah.
Then you start
Yeah.
moving to 10 and then 15, and so you go.
Yeah. So Senzekile, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. I love all that you've just said, but oh gosh, so many people go ham on me when they join the course, because I think the students, like when I'm interviewing you guys, you talk about the spirit of money. Oh, those three meditations are going to be the death of me, because people land in the course and then they lose it when they don't see the spirit of money and they don't connect with the spirit of money. You guys have no clue. I spent like days and weeks working with people who have just gotten into the course. And because there's so many comments under the spirit of money meditations in the actual course site, not just the Facebook in the Facebook group, people are like, oh my God, I want that experience. I want to see my spirit of money. That person saw it. And I'm just like, I literally cannot make you see your spirit of money. So, what has been your relationship with the spirit of money? Was it easy for you to connect with the spirit of money? Was it a journey? Did it change over time?
So here's the interesting thing about my spirit of money. It has never showed up as the same thing, ever.
Yeah. Wow.
It's never showed up as the same thing. It's shown up probably twice as human beings or three times, right? One that I knew, two that I
Wow.
never knew. All the other times, it's a bonsai tree, it's a waterfall, it's a big, it's never like one thing. So I think
Yeah.
what people try to do when they start doing these meditations is they they want to make something happen, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I think this cause requires you to be, in biblical terms, be like a child so that you can see the kingdom, right?
Yes.
Like, don't
Yes.
overthink it.
Yeah.
Don't use too much logic. Go with your
Yes.
intuition. Go with your spirit.
Yes.
Allow your soul for
Yes.
once to lead. I mean, we use our heads a lot at work, and
Yo.
it
Yeah.
becomes a default setting. And I think when people
Yeah.
enter the cause, they want to go in there with, it's a problem, how do I solve it? No,
Yeah.
allow your and I think here, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something else that you need to do at the start of the course that speaks to intuition, right? Because people do not know that they've got this inner, that there's an
Yes.
ability for
Okay.
you to be taught.
Maybe. Wow.
I don't know, something's just
Ah.
happened with sound.
Yes. No, I hear you.
Or taught from within. That has nothing to do with your
Hmm.
MBA and your engineering degree and your PhD, you know?
I'm clicking for this, because
Yeah.
that's the thing. Also, when I started this course, people would say to me that I first need to get my finances in order before I join the Money Magic course. And that always baffled me. And I was always like, why why am I here then if you need to first go and do your financial work and get, and people would even say I need more spiritual growth before I do the work. And I'm just like, then why am I here? Because the purpose of this
Mm.
work is this.
So funny enough, I think what we also don't realize is that subconsciously you will try to run away from the work that's going to help you. So, and I
Yes,
feel like
wow,
some of
that's
those
interesting.
excuses are just your demons, as they call it in Ebazalwaneni. Those are your demons basically trying to hold on to you a little bit longer. Because
Wow,
I mean, what I've found is that I joined the Money Magic course when I actually didn't have the money to pay for it. I just had
wow,
I took the option where I could, pay over 10 months.
yeah,
And I said to myself, I'm going to try and find this money somewhere every single month because I don't have it as
yeah,
a lump sum. What has
yeah,
since happened is that the amount of financial breakthroughs that I've had, um, I was in a position to pay the course in cash within probably 4 months of joining the course, right?
yeah,
So I've kept the
yeah,
payment plan, but I was in a position to actually
yeah.
just pay for it once and for all.
And actually, that happens a lot, believe it or not. Like people will get into the course like 3, 4 months in and say, Vangile, can I please just cancel the monthly subscription? I'm just going to pay the lump sum now.
Mm.
It happens often, and I'm always like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Good for you.
So I was
But
already in that
yeah,
position myself within like the first 4 months of joining the course.
wow.
Um, and I think what what's also happened is that I'll just as a side note, I would sometimes
Yeah,
get a lump sum, maybe
yeah,
because I've been visioning it or I've been asking for it. And once
yeah.
I got the sum of money, I wouldn't use it the way that I had planned to use it. And it
Ah,
always baffled
yes,
me why I would do that to
yes,
myself. And the funniest thing
yeah.
that's happened since I joined the cause is that when I make financial plans and I say, when I get this money, I'm going to do X, I'm going to do Y,
Mm,
um, I'm actually able to get the money and just do that. I
yeah,
mean, I've been meaning to double my bond installments forever and a day.
Wow. I
And
mean, you just said double your bond installments.
yeah,
Are
and
you
I'm doing
serious?
that this month.
Wow.
I'm doing that this month.
Wow.
So bond
Wow. And
installments doubled
during COVID, hey? This
during
is
COVID.
just this is just so powerful, Senzekile. Well done. Because there is
Ooh,
that's the thing about bond repayments, right? It's like
yes,
it makes such a big difference to double the repayments. You shorten
absolutely.
the amount of time that it takes to pay the bond. It's wow, that is amazing.
But you
Definitely
know,
congratulations.
thank you. And I think additional to that, I told you in the beginning about my connection with land and indigenous food and
Yeah,
herbs and all of that. I've been meaning to buy
yes.
land since 2010, right? And
Wow.
I have papers actually in front of me here for buying a piece of land in Mpumalanga.
No way. I
Yeah,
got
so
goosebumps.
I'm telling you, I am in the process, and one of the things that came up
Oh my
during the manometric
gosh.
course meditations, I think one of
Oh
them
my God.
is that there was trauma related to land, ownership of land, right?
Yes, I remember you sharing that in the student group. Yes.
Yeah, so I think because I've done a little bit of work around that, guess what?
Yeah.
Suddenly, I feel like I can do it, and I'm doing it, right?
I mean, you shared about this. This is such a dream for you. You've been talking about it in the student group.
And I was stuck, and I didn't know
Congratulations.
why. Thank you. I was
Oh
stuck, and I
my
didn't know
God.
why. But this work reveals a lot of things, right?
Yes.
This work reveals a
Yes.
lot of things, some of which are, for instance, history that I know in my family. My grandfather's land was
Yeah.
taken away by people who killed him. And then some of it
Yeah.
is actually not even from like now, it's from like the
Yeah.
1800s, the 1700s, right? Um, just like trauma that I wasn't
Ancestral
even aware of.
trauma, right?
Yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know, maybe Christians freak out when they hear ancestral trauma. To be honest,
I know.
I won't say anything to that except to say that, well, you wear your ancestors' smile, their
Yeah.
blood flows through you, and when you have a
Yeah.
heart attack, and then they start to tell you that you have a predisposition to heart attacks because your grandfather, your mother,
Yeah,
like those are,
exactly.
we don't only inherit disease
Yeah.
or predisposition to disease from our great grandparents. We inherit gifts, good gifts as well, but we also inherit
Oh,
traumas, which
yes.
they never were able to process and release. And we can then do that.
Mm,
And it's not just for us, it's for the
yeah.
bloodline going both spaces in time and space,
Yes.
like forward and
I
backward,
love it.
and people
Yes.
don't realize that. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on and on about this work. I believe in it. Like, I really believe in it. It doesn't mean that it's easy. People mustn't fool
Not at
themselves
all.
into thinking
Gosh.
that it's easy. Like when you're looking at your issues and your neck like stops moving because it's locked,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you get away from the work, and then your neck kind of comes back, and then you go back and the same thing happens. You start to realize, okay, maybe it is the money that is giving me the,
Yeah.
and you start to
Yeah.
realize that, and then you start to and also I think you need to be open to the fact that it's
Yeah.
possible that what
Yeah.
Vangile is saying is true. You don't have to take it as gospel the first time, but you
Yeah.
can just think about the fact that it is possible, because here is the thing: we've tried so many
Yeah.
methods to make our
Yeah.
money problems go away, and
Amen. Hey? Like,
14 years
wow.
later, after starting to work, they haven't gone away. If anything,
Yes.
they get worse, because
Yeah.
every year you upgrade lifestyle, you take on more debt, and
Yeah.
you are just at the same place you were in 5 years ago.
Yes. And that's the thing that makes me hurt. And that's why I do this work. And this is why I work mainly with Black women with this work, because as a Black woman, I know the struggle. I know the struggle of not just me, but seeing family, seeing friends where every year where you'd be reading these books like telling you that every year you should be able to sit down and track your net worth and you should have grown in your net worth. And we don't. And yet we're working so hard. And it looks like we are lazy, we are irresponsible, but we don't know why the debt is growing, why we're
Mm,
unable to save, why we're unable to go after our dreams. And
mm,
that for me is a thing that hurts me. And that's why I'm so passionate about this work. Because I'm like, no, our traumas cannot be the thing that holds us back from
mm,
succeeding. You know, this is something that we can work on and heal.
mm.
So, Senzekile, have you seen an increase in your ability to save? I know that your relationship with investments has completely changed because you're constantly stunting on us in the student group and telling us about new ways to invest and things that you're doing.
So I I don't know what's happened. I feel like I am turning over a new person.
Yeah,
My finances don't scare me anymore. And because they don't
yeah.
scare me anymore, I am able to look at them every single day, which means that my relationship with
Wow.
money is definitely becoming more of one where money is definitely my lover as opposed to my
Yes.
terrorist, right?
I love that.
So what I am doing is that I am, like I said, I've doubled my bond repayments.
Yes.
I have money in my account until payday, right?
Oh,
Which was
yeah.
never the case before. Thirdly, uh, I used to manifest these emergencies and people just asking me for money, and like
Yeah.
I would even get frustrated by the fact that I was being sidetracked by stuff that I didn't do, right? Like it's
Yeah.
it's an emergency that I'm being asked to. And funny enough, instead of putting my foot down and saying no to these emergencies, I would often say yes because I wanted validation from family, from friends. I
Yes.
wanted to save people. And in the
Yeah.
process of saving people, I was actually digging my own grave deeper,
Hmm.
right? Because often the money would come from my credit card or my revolving
Oh,
loan or my
wow.
overdraft.
Yeah.
Yet when the person is to pay back the money, they don't pay it back with all those interests and fees. And
Mm.
also, some of them never actually
Wow.
paid back.
Yeah.
So,
And then you have like these really stressful relationships. So I know this now because it's something that my brother till this day laughs at me. This is pre me too. This is all the stuff that led me to do the money magic work, you know. My
mm,
brother always says, oh yeah, you were playing a big shot there. Ne? Because like there's people in the neighborhood, in our neighborhood, where I will walk around and I'll be like, that person owes me 8,000 still. That person
oh,
still owes me
wow.
4,000. It just happens. You know, you go to gatherings and you look at the person like you still owe me money. And I had to get to, with this work, I had to make peace that part of this was my drama. Like
Mm,
a part of me knew that this money wasn't coming back, but I loaned it. So let me make peace with it. So now we laugh about it in the family that like sometimes my family will say, oh, by the way, that friend of yours has never paid back that money, right? I'm like, oh, I even forgot. But
ne?
this is the thing. We dig our own graves, like you said.
But the thing is, you are doing it subconsciously, I suppose, and you're not aware. And
Yeah.
when you gain awareness, you become like a new human being. You're able to say, "I'm sorry, I can't make that trip.
Hmm.
I simply do not have the money to make the trip." Whereas
Yeah.
before, you would have made it happen, right?
Yes. Yes.
And for what? For what, right? For validation, to buy
Yeah.
love and to be liked,
Hmm.
and also to hide
Hmm.
your shame around the fact
Yes.
that your finances are not
Yeah.
balancing, right?
Yeah. And we do that a lot, shame. You know,
And
we don't want to own, like, because that's the thing, Yoguti, what will people say when they truly find out? Because I've created this facade around money and my
mm,
relationship with money. So
mm,
now, should they find out, and that should they find out is what keeps most of us trapped. And I've seen it
Mm,
even with people, why we won't even go for help, because what if people suddenly see that I am getting help around my money, you
mm,
know? And
mm.
it's something that can keep us stagnant for years.
And I think in the Black community, if I may, um,
Yeah.
there is something. I'm glad that we're having these conversations and that they are public,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
as we do this work, we are liberating a lot of people who will start to realize that
Yes.
the feelings that they feel are normal, right? And what they need
Thank
to do
you.
is get
Yes.
the help you need. Get the help you
Yes.
need, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to navigate this space by yourself. And I
Yeah.
always felt that I had to navigate my finances by myself, that I should know better. I
Yeah.
did do some accounting at school. I should know,
Yeah.
income and
Yeah.
expenses and how that should balance. But
Yeah.
unfortunately it just wasn't happening, right?
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
normalize getting help, let's normalize coaching, let's normalize
Mm.
the fact that you are not alone in
Yeah,
your
I
distress.
myself have
Yeah.
coaches, right? And I share so openly the conversations that I have with my coaches in the student group. I
Mm,
myself need help to be able to work through some of the things that keep me stuck. So
mm.
I agree, like normalizing getting help. But I think also this is part of the not good enough story that we talk
Ah,
about, right? Like
yes.
the especially I feel like there is what I call the good black daughter and the good black son. They
Mm,
were always excelling at things. They always did everything right. And then they start working, and
yeah.
everybody was like, you're going to be the successful one. You're going to be the one that carries the family and takes us out of poverty. And there were all these pressures. And they believe
Yes.
that they've got that capacity. And then you get older and you realize that, oh my God, I can't. But there's so much shame because everybody had
Mm,
so much faith in you. So you feel like, what
mm.
is wrong? There's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. You don't
It's all,
know what you don't know. You know, you just don't.
I would say we are almost groomed into the Messiah
Yes.
archetype.
Whew, that's deep.
Literally, I feel like we are groomed into
Yeah.
the Messiah archetype, and more
Yeah.
so those of us who are degreed. It's almost like if you are not degreed, then it's
Yeah.
okay. Like they didn't invest enough in you.
Yeah.
You you get a bit of a free pass, right? But once you
That
are
is so
degreed,
true,
like it's
though.
like the pressure
Wow.
like triples, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, we take it on. We become the
Of course we
messiahs.
become it.
You
We
know,
become
because
it.
we feel like our love, that the love that we get is stemming from how much we can give, how much we can save others. You know,
Mm.
so there's so much of untangling to do. So my final question to you, Senzekile, and I feel like I don't even want to stop this interview, it is that good, right? But my final question is to say, do you have any, I know for most people, like we're talking about the work, it is hellish to do. Guys, like I sleep on most days, I do this work and I'm just like, F it, you know. I tell the universe, I'm like, I've done enough, like this one or two meditations is what I need before I can do real other work in the company. Luckily this is part of my work. But how do you do the work? Do you have a routine? Do you have a morning routine, especially for people that are thinking, I want to do this course, but am I going to have the time? And of course, we know that like doing this work, the time, like suddenly the time that you need to make the money to save, to pay off debts, is so shortened. So the work actually frees up time. But how did you approach being consistent in it?
So I think the first time that, well, that was before I joined the course, but when we did the
Yeah,
money, the fall in love with your bank account challenge, which is a
yeah,
small taste of what the course is like,
yeah,
it was a combination of coming home with
yeah.
an intention to
Yes.
actually do the work. So setting out time in the evening,
Ah,
and
yeah,
on some days I would just take my lunch hour at work, go down to my car, switch on my
yeah,
phone, and just sit in my car and do the work, right?
yes,
So, and then now that I'm full time in the program,
yeah.
what I do is, because I've realized how it affects my body, right? I do it
Oh,
only in
yeah,
the evenings
Yeah.
when I do have access to a bed, because
Yes.
I mean, tiredness happens, tears happen, right?
Tears are the real thing. Hey.
Tears happen.
No.
And also just like needing, you know, when you've taken your lunch hour, you can do the work, but sometimes you want to journal for longer because that many insights are
Yes.
downloading from your brain. So
Yes.
I went away from the lunch hour thing because I would have to look at the time in terms of, oh, let me write quickly because I need to get back to work.
Yeah.
Whereas if I do it in the
Yeah.
evenings, then I own the evening, even if I do it until 11 p.m., but at
Yeah.
least I can do it in its entirety, and then maybe I can
Yeah.
take a break the next day and not do the work and sleep earlier.
Yes.
But it is
Yes.
something that you are going to have to build into your daily routine every single day. I
Yeah.
mean, right now I'm with my cousin, who started staying
Yes.
with me in Feb when she got a job in Joburg. And I've made it
Yeah.
clear to her that when I say to her that I'm going to do the work, I'm out of bounds. Like, no calling,
Yeah.
no knocking, no doing anything until I come out.
Yeah.
I'll
Wow.
shout
I
it
am
out.
impressed by you guys. Hey, like, I am just impressed by the Money Magic students because you guys really do the work. I mean, you guys show up, you feedback, you do the work, and you carve out space. And I think I used to be kind of sporadic, but watching you all do the work, I was like, now I have a routine in the mornings where I'm like, I do not break routine because
Mm.
I see that everyone around me is doing the work and serious. And so
Mm.
I've also become serious as a student. So it's really, really powerful to observe.
And
Thank
it's
you
interesting
for
that you are a
that.
student to your own work, because for some people, they expect you to be the guru, and therefore you have, reached enlightenment, and, you don't have.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
But you
very
guys see
interesting.
how I fall apart from my own, from the teachings themselves, like how I will go into the meditations and come and be like, I'm not teaching anything for this week. I am falling apart. Okay, this is what's come up.
And I think for me that's interesting because it just shows us that it's not a quick fix, and people need to get that
Yes.
it's not a yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
it's
It's
something that you've got
not.
to be, it's a lifelong piece of work. And
Yeah.
and it's the best investment you could ever make in yourself, right? Because guys,
Yes.
we've spent time in relationships, we've spent money in
Yes.
relationships, and I'm
Ooh.
talking about friendships and romantic relationships. And
Yeah.
this is truly like your romance with yourself,
Yeah. Yes.
and you reveal yourself to yourself. And
Mm.
it's amazing, just like the transformation that you see in your life from
Yeah.
doing the work, which is probably why we go back
Yeah.
and do it every
This
day,
is
every
true.
week,
Yeah.
and so it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen it with people. It's something that I love about this work is that literally I very rarely am like, people do the work. I'm like that coach that's like, please let's not force our families to join the money magic course.
We want to.
That's like my preaching to say, if they come and they want to and they need your help, do it. But I love it. So Senzekile, people, I know that if it like me listening in, I'm just like, wow, I would want to have and unpack so much of the things that you've shared with us and just talking. And maybe you need something around the land that people can partner with you on various ventures and projects. How do they reach out to you? How do they connect with you? And if you don't mind, if you want to talk about some ventures, a particular venture that you would be interested in having conversations with people listening in on this on, go for it.
So I think the one thing that's really important to me right now is it's not something that I'm selling, but it's the land, right? And what I'm
Yes.
realizing is that that's the one thing that nobody's manufacturing anymore. And
Yes.
we have an opportunity to access land, and I'm just looking for like-minded people who I can partner with, where we can buy, I'm going to make an example, like maybe 8 hectares of land, and there's 4 of us, and we divide it, and each person gets 2 hectares, and it works out cheaper than if you bought it by
Yes.
yourself. I'm looking for
Yes.
people who are interested in indigenous food, how we can, you know,
Yeah.
seeds, seed custodians, like just
Yeah.
like sharing seeds with like-minded people, food
Yeah.
preservation, right? As well,
Yeah.
and just making Africa um, sustainable in terms of like food. We
Ooh.
shouldn't be begging somebody else to feed us, right? The World Food
Yo.
Program. We have the most fertile continent in the world.
Yes.
Something is off. Something is wrong.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
we are the ones that we have been waiting for to come and kind of save ourselves. And so I think that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I'm open to people connecting with me just like on Facebook and messaging me and saying, we heard that, you know, conversation you had with Vangile, we are interested,
Yeah.
let's have a chat. And some of it may not result in partnership, but maybe
Yeah.
cross-pollination. And I'm
Oh,
open
I
to
love
all
that.
of that, because with
Yeah.
with this cause, what I found is that I am creating a whole new tribe that is aligned to
Yes.
my values.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's so incredible. So I'm open to those connections for now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and one day we will Magic student group versus the bigger group. Because I think people sometimes think that the student group is like the bigger group. I'm like, no, fam. Like the connections, the things that are going on in the student group are just mind blowing. The resources shared, all that. So yeah, it's
I
so
mean, we do
powerful.
business with each other as well, right?
Yes, we do.
And
I'm
people don't
loving
realize.
that. I love it. Like I see it and I'm always like, when did this happen? People like sharing feedback of businesses they've done together. I'm like, when are you guys having the time in between the work? But I love it. So Senzekile, thank you so much. And guys, I will tag Senzekile on Facebook. I mean, you guys, if you've listened to the Property Magicians podcast, you know that Mizo and I's entire intention with that podcast was around, is not was, is around land and ownership of property. So this is key. But more than anything, you've probably heard us talk about the Money Magic course and how incredible it is around healing trauma. If you're feeling called to do the course and you are so ready, regardless of when you are watching this video, go to wealthy-money.com /money magic. Again, wealthy-money.com /money magic. I open the course for registration I would say about 4 or 5 times a year for about a week or longer at times. So if the course is open for registration, definitely enroll. If not, there is a form on the course website that allows you to get onto the waiting list. Get onto the waiting list, right? And I will send you updates as soon as we open up for registration. And of course, message me, inbox me at any time if you want to be part of the course so that I can directly email you. And if you're in a situation where I have people who are like, I need this course ASAP, we can have a conversation, right? So thank you so much, Senzekile, and thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, Senzekile.